Hey guys, it's me, Mr.30, and welcome back to Umineko. After Battler's slightly creepy thing where he's like, ha, this is a fun game, we'll beat the witch and, totally ignore the fact that everyone's dead, now we can continue. Back in the parlor and whatnot. Everyone had sunk into their favorite sofas, some deep in thought, some irritated, some acting depressed. Maria was once again enjoying the television as if she never left it with her ginormous creepy eyes and the creepy teeth. It looked as like she found the commercials more fun than the boring program, and she happily yelled, "Ooh, ooh," and giggled. I stared at each person's appearance in turn. If there wasn't a 19th person, the culprit must be in this room. Spooky wind! That Nanjo guy's looking pretty suspicious there. Doesn't have any ties to the family. I could be it. It could have been me. I could have done it. Right now, Aunt Natsui was searching the mansion with the servants though, wasn't she? Then it shouldn't be in this room. In this mansion is what we should say. After all, there was also the possibility that Aunt Natsui was behind this. And we still couldn't deny that one of the servants could be the killer. Anyone could be the bad guy. Still, Aunt Natsui and the rest sure are slow. Of course, it's not a small mansion, but isn't this taking a little too long just to walk around, checking the windows and doors? I mean, it could have been even one of the people that was killed. Like, they could have killed a number of the people, and then one of the other people, as they were dying, killed the killer. Though that wouldn't explain why they got dragged away, so I guess that doesn't explain it, does it? Maybe they got a very slow wound, like a small paper cut, and as they dragged all of their bodies over to the storage house, the wound finally became fatal, because I guess they were moving it around, so the paper cut got larger, and then they died in the pile of the bodies. That makes sense, right? I'm sure it does. Yeah, Aunt Natsui and the rest returned. Not one of them was missing. But our relief was short-lived. Everyone looked at Aunt Natsui, shocked. The story I had been told by Aunt Eva started to creep back into my mind. The possibility that the culprits had enough in numbers or weapons to kill all 6 at once. What? Why do you have a shotgun? Well, I'm sure that's not gonna be a bad idea. Because that thing in Aunt Natsui's hand is are you sure that's a rifle? She's got like some sawed-off rifle. Why would you saw off a rifle? At glance, its silhouette looked a lot like a hunting gun. But it was unusually short, and kinda looked like a kid-sized gun. However, it had a thickness to it which revealed that this was definitely not some kid's toy. Of course it's a real battler. Sounded like a flight of fancy. Ah, take that, you wild birds!
あら懐かしいどこから出てきたんやら私がいくら触らせてって言っても指一本触れさせてくれなかったやつよ
へえじいさまこんなの持ってたんですか知らなかったですよ
お父様は昔西部劇にどっぷり使ってたことがあってねあの世代はこういうライフル銃が大好きなのよ
結構年季の入った銃のようですねでもこんな短い仕様のは初めて見ました
ああ思い出したわその銃懐かしいな昔好きやった映画のガンマンが派手にぶっ放しとったやつだわお父さんも渋いな
親方様がだいぶ昔に。
Yeah, isn't it illegal in Japan unless you're like a special person, like either a police officer or I guess someone in the special defense force to have a weapon?
手に入れられたばかりの頃は大層気に入
Of
られ
course,
ておりまして。
I'm pretty sure if you live on your own island and you have all this money, you can probably get around some of that.
撃つより薬莢を出す動作が面白いらしくて、裏の森でいろいろとカッコつけて遊んでおられたもんですよ。
しかし物騒ね。そんなものまで持ち出しちゃうのかしら。万が一に備えてです。賊はおそらく一人ではないでしょう。しかも主人たちを6人も殺した恐ろしい相手です。
Understandable, to be sure.
主人に代わって皆さんを明日まで守る義務がありますので。
It's not Sui-san said this. She slumped down into one of the sofas and took a deep breath. She had been trying to find Grandfather, as well as check the doors and windows. Since Grandfather was not with her, apparently his whereabouts were still unknown.
屋敷内の戸締まりは厳重に確認してきました。ですが、万が一ということもあります。みんな、なるべくここに一緒にいた方がいいでしょう。そうね。ここに全員が集まって相互監視をしている方が安心だわ。
And in a situation where you don't trust each other, being able to watch each other is actually pretty powerful.
それはどういう意味ですか、エヴァさん。別に。
Oh, nothing. Just stirring the pot as usual.
夏
I'm
日
a
姉
jerk.
さんの意見に賛成しただけよ。
There was a dangerous atmosphere between the two of them. If you think about who was the most suspicious from the inheritance problem standpoint, Aunt Eva was the obvious answer. However, there was no proof that Aunt Natsui was innocent. No. If you view Beatrice's letter as Grandfather's complicated prank, and think of this case as just an extension of that, there was more than enough evidence to doubt even Grandfather. So Aunt Natsui thought that the criminal was on the outside. But Aunt Eva thought the criminal was on the inside. In short, it was the question of whether or not a 19th person exists. It was the doubt that had been repeated endlessly since last night's dinner, with the letter from the witch who called herself Beatrice. So the culprit was among us. Or not. And Beatrice did exist. Or not. If you assume that something as stupid as a witch couldn't exist, it was the same as saying that one of these relatives here, who shared a common bloodline, was the culprit. If you didn't like that, it would be much more comfortable to simply accept the fairy tale about the witch. And the witch? Did she draw that weird magic circle and sacrifice those people? If I accepted that rubbish, I would be able to completely trust everyone in this room. However, common sense got in the way. It kept repeating that witches don't exist. In that case, the culprit was among us. In the middle of the seemingly endless rain, none of us could break our silence. Dum bum bum, broken glass! What time is it now? It's about 1 in the afternoon. So we've gotten through about half of the day. Nobody else has died yet, that we know of. Your grandfather could be completely dead in some ditch in the woods, for all we know. Homeless guys going on a rampage, waiting until one of us gets a little bit too far away from everybody else. Lunch ended, and the servants removed the tableware and went to the kitchen. The wind and the rain neither weakened nor strengthened, and the island remained cut off from the outside world. It seemed that, at first, Natsui had planned not to let anyone set foot outside the room. But when it came time to prepare lunch, she finally realized that this was impossible. However, in order to avoid having anyone alone in the kitchen, she told the 3 servants to go together. Now, of course, if we go with the suspicion that the servants are, in fact, the ones that did it, this is still incredibly suspicious. Since breakfast had immediately followed that terrible incident, and many of them hadn't eaten much, everyone tore into their lunches in silence.
私が洗いますから、源氏さんとカノン君は少し休んでいてくださいな。 何か飲みます？
私は結
Furniture doesn't drink liquids.
構。カノンは
僕も結構です。
お二人とも早朝から大変だったでしょう。参ってしまうのも仕方ないことですよ。
The only sound was that of Kumasawa washing the dishes, which resounded throughout the kitchen. Genji and Kanon sat in some chairs a short distance away, their eyes lightly closed. Just as Kumasawa had said, those two had probably built up a great deal of fatigue. But that didn't mean they could let it show in front of the relatives. Avoiding that was one of their virtues. After the silence had continued for some time, Kanon opened his mouth and muttered,
シャナ、どうしてあんなひどい死に方を。
死に方のことは忘れなさい。ただ運がなかっただけだ。
Oh man, that's some serious bad luck, I'll tell you what.
そうですね。ただ運がなかっただけです。
They both felt silent once again. Kanon's expression was filled with grief.
シャノンちゃんが死んじゃったなんて未だに信じられませんよ。本当にかわいそうに。もう会えないなんて嘘みたいですよ。もう一度あの子の笑顔が見たかったのに。
Kumasawa spoke with her back facing them. After all, Kumasawa hadn't seen Shannon's corpse, so she had no trouble mentioning Shannon's face. When Kanon heard those words, it reminded him again of how only half of Shannon's face had been left, and his grieving expression twisted even further.
どうしてベアトリーチェ様はシャノンを。生贄が欲しかったなら他にも大勢いただろうに。どうしてどうして。
ただ運が悪かっただけだ。少しの運がたがえばシャノンのあるいは他の誰かだったのかもしれない。全ては運命だ。
源氏様、奥様の部屋の扉に血のような跡がついていたとおっしゃっていました。
Oh boy, are we actually gonna do something resembling progress right now?
シャッターに書かれていたのと同じもので。
うん、君の悪い跡だった。まるで血のついた指でドアノブを引き抜こうとするかのような。
But yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I believe everybody that was in the mansion, excluding Natsui, died. And everybody else that was in the guest house didn't. Now, we don't know anything about the grandfather, but I'm sure he's probably got some special place in this whole thing. So that's interesting, isn't it? That magical charm, at least from the point of view I'm looking at right now, actually did something. She actually saved somebody's life, and Jessica, in fact, would not have needed it because she wasn't in the mansion.
扉をかき破ろうとしたのか。そんな君の悪い跡だった。
ベアトリーチェ様が奥様の部屋を訪れて、そして扉を開こうとしたけれど開けなかったということでしょうか。
Genji thought back to the time he had seen those traces of blood on the door to Natsui's room. With the substance sticking to the door around the doorknob, and the marks of something scratching against the door, it had definitely appeared as though someone had tried to open the door, but couldn't.
どうして奥様は生贄を免れたんだ。もし奥様が選ばれてたなら、シャノンは死ななくて済んだのに。
Wait, really? Is that true? Are they saying Shannon got chosen because Natsui didn't? Just then, a loud, sharp noise came in from the hall. Both of them turned around, surprised.
面白そうな話じゃねえか。
Uh-oh.
俺も混ぜてくれよ。
Oh boy, see, we're finally gonna get something done now, I feel. Before any of the servants had realized it, Battler was standing in the doorway to the kitchen.
バトル様、 これは失礼いたしました。
Genji and Canon-kun stood up, surprised and hastily bowed. But I didn't care about stuff like that. I was more concerned with continuing their discussion.
便所って言って抜けさせてもらったのさ。ずっとあの部屋に閉じ込められてると窒息しちまいそうだったからな。水でも飲ませてもらおうかと思ったら面白そうな話が聞こえてきたんだよ。
I'm sure that's all you wanted was some water.
頭なんか下げなくていいぜ。今の話の続きを聞かせてくれよ。
今のは別に。
ちょいと前から話は聞かせてもらってるんだ。今さら隠すなよ。だからベアトリーチェってのは何者だ。どうやらおとぎ話の魔女ってだけじゃなさそうだな。
Canon-kun averted his gaze. It was obvious that he didn't want to talk about this, which only made me want to ask even more. While making an effort to smile, I grabbed the collar of his shirt. Man, you're violent.
夕べまでなら俺は無関係さ。だがな、今朝からは違う。親父たちを殺された時点で俺は立派な関係者だ。俺にもそのうさんくさそうな話を聞かせてもらう資格があるはずだぜ。
Even so, I glared into Cannon's eyes as he kept trying to look away in apparent pain. Since there was a big difference in her heights, Cannon had to stand on his toes, and it looked like it hurt a bit.
バトラさん、手を離してやってくださいな。別にカノンさんは隠しているわけではないのです。
じゃあ話してくれたっていいじゃねえか。仲間外れたら寂しいぜ。
When I tried to further twist up his collar, Genji-san cut between us and spoke. There was a slight sense of resignation on his face. It looked like he didn't plan on hiding anything.
お話しすることはできます。ただバトラ様がお気を悪くなされるかもしれませんので、カノンは
躊躇なんて男らしくねえぜ。内緒にされる方が気持ち悪いさ。聞かせてくれよ。
I understand where Battler's coming from, but that seems slightly uncharacteristic. That level of just slight violence there.
どうせ明日までできることはないんだ。多少はうさんくさい話の方が退屈も紛れるってもんだぜ。
After Genji-san and Canon-kun looked at each other, they nodded as though they had decided to talk.
わかりました。何でもお聞きください。お話しします。
ああ、じゃあ聞くぜ。ベアトリーチェってのは一体何なんだ。俺が知ってる限りではロケン島の森に住まう魔女ってことになってる。森に入ると危ないからってんでばあ様あたりが作り出した脅し話だって聞いてる。違うのか。
いえ、違いません。その通りです。ベアトリーチェ様はロッケン島の森に住まわれる魔女であらせられます。
バトラ様、にわかには信じられないでしょうが、ベアトリーチェ様は存在するのです。親方様に莫大な黄金を授け、長いことおそばにお仕えした実在する方なのです。
はあ、よせやいよせやい。じい様の受け売りを言うのも給料のうちだってのか。
They do get paid a lot of money for that. I laughed like it was a joke. But neither Genji-san nor Canon-kun laughed. Not even Kumasawa-bachan, who was avoiding my eyes, flustered, as she started washing the utensils. So, unfortunately, I was the only one laughing. Painfully, bitterly.
なるほど。源氏さんが断るだけはあるぜ。こいつは確かに正気じゃ気を悪くする。つまりベアトリーチェっていう名の人物は実在するんだな。
はい、親方様がこの島にお屋敷を構える以前からおそらく私よりも長くお仕えしているでしょう。
なんてこった。 キリエさんの仮説は外れたな。じいさまにベアトリーチェという名の腹心は実在したってわけだ。そいつは今この島にいるんだな。
はい、いらっしゃっていると思います。
曖昧な言い方だな。ってことは昨日今日そいつの顔を見たってわけじゃなさそうだな。
はい、大変申し上げがたいのですが、
Cannon-kun once again dropped his gaze, avoiding my eyes.
なんだよ、そこで切るなよ。鮮度目みたいで気持ち悪いぜ。
I urged him on jokingly. However, it looked like Cannon was still confused as to whether he should speak or not. Then, Kumasawa Bachan whispered.
お顔を見ようにも、ベアトリーチェ様にはお姿がありませんから。
お姿が？なんだって？
ベアトリーチェ様にはお体がありません。ですから、ベアトリーチェ様がお望みにならない限り、私ども
ベアトリーチェ様が人の姿をされていた頃の絵が、あの肖像画のものなのだとか。そのお姿を懐かしみ、よく肖像画の前に佇まれているそうな。
ベアトリーチェ様は時折、輝く蝶の姿に身を変えられて現れることがあります。万一、お屋敷の中でお見かけした場合には、決してその後を追ってはならない決まりです。
But I want to chase after him. Absolutely not. You're not allowed to chase after them.
追えば不幸があると囁かれています。その禁を破り、大怪我をして辞めた使用人も実際にいます。
おいおい、マジかよ。あんたら、本気でそんな話をしているのかよ。
バトラス様、すでにベアトリーチェ様がお越しになっておられます。そのようなお言葉はよろしく。
ベアトリーチェ様はご自身を冒涜される方を好みません。その存在を疑えば必ずや不幸が降りかかるでしょ
う。バトラさん、気持ちの悪いお話とお思いでしょ。ですがね、ベアトリーチェ様はいるんですよ。
います。それを疑われることを。
わかりませんか、バトラ様。ベアトリーチェ様は今すでに。
おいおい、よせよ。俺そういうのは弱いんだぜ。脅しっこなしにしろい。
However, there was no trace of a joke in the eyes of the three servants. On the surface, I laughed and tried to look unconcerned, but I was quickly starting to sober up. Their eyes were also sobering up fast.
バトラさん、お願いですから、ベアトリーチェ様を冒涜することはおやめください。悪いことは申し上げません。
Kumasawa Bachan, who was usually cheerful and would always tease people, now spoke with a totally straight face.
いや、いるって言われてもよ。俺には何も見えないぜ。今、俺の隣にいるとでも言うのかよ。冗談よせやい。
It went all dark. Uh-oh. Ooh, no, no. Can we stop? Can we stop with the thing, Maria? Don't do that. Just then, that unnerving laugh suddenly filled the kitchen. And the smile, you don't have to do that either. When I turned around, Maria was standing there by the entrance. But her expression, and the feeling about her, her presence, felt exactly the same as the servants.
波長の合う合わないは生まれつきだよ。バトラは生まれつき波長が合わないタイプなんだよ。だから見えない、会えない、話せない。ベアトリーチェの一番嫌いなタイプだよ。
Maria's laugh almost sounded insane, and it was extremely eerie. It was almost like she was laughing at me because I alone didn't understand.
ベアトリーチェのことが知りたい？ベアトリーチェはね、1000年の魔女なんだよ。あらゆる悪魔を刺激し、錬金術を極め、賢者の石を生み出し、莫大な黄金を生み出すことができる。おじいさまは彼女と契約することで、後ろ宮家に莫大な富を築いたんだよ。昨日私がベアトリーチェの手紙を読んだでしょ？あれは本当なんだよ。バトラに信じろと言っても無理な話だろうけど。六感が生まれつきさっぱりみたいだからね。
なんだよそれ。魔女？悪魔？そんなの誰に聞いたんだよ。
ベアトリーチェ本人に聞いたんだよ。
Maria kept doing that unpleasant laugh. However, the servants who watched over this didn't even blink. She heard it from that witch in the portrait adorning the entrance hall. Maria kept on laughing in a weird voice, as though this was nothing more or less than the truth.
マリア、聞くだけ野暮だろうが、もう一回聞くぜ。昨日、マリアにあの手紙を渡したのは誰だ？
ベアトリーチェにもらったって何度言えばわかるかな？
Obviously doesn't believe in witches still.
わかんないよね。見えないんだもんね。信じられないもんね。
Ooh, unnerving. Just then, Maria's laughter suddenly stopped.
バトラ、まだわかんない？ベアトリーチェ様がいるのが。
いるって、どこにさ？
だからベアトリーチェ様がここにいるのが。
That's right. Now that I think about it, I've been feeling for some time that the others haven't been looking in quite the right direction. I'd figured that everyone had just been gazing into the distance, but that wasn't the case. The four here, Ginji-san, Kanon-kun, Kumasawa-san, and Maria, everyone except me, were looking at a spot right behind me. Holding my breath tightly, I slowly looked over my shoulder. Of course, there wasn't anyone there. I've known that the whole time. However, everyone in the room except me was focusing on that point as if there was someone there.
ベアトリーチェは1000年を生きた偉大な黄金の魔女。でも波長の合う人間にしか自分の姿を見せられないし、話しかけられない。だからね、それがとても悲しいんだよ。だからバトラみたいな生まれつき魔法のセンスもかけらのない人に存在を否定されるのがものすごく嫌いなんだよ。バトラは幸運だよ。昨日私にお守りをもらっていてよかったね。それを身につけていなかったら今頃ベアトリーチェのどんな呪いが身に及んでいたかわかんない。
I sure hope we still have that thing around.
本当に幸運なんだよ、バトラは。
ああ、あのサソリのキーホルダーかよ。あれって安っぽい景品か何かだと思ってたんだが、ちとはご利益あったってことなのか？
Battler, that's rude. You shouldn't say it was a cheap gift. I bet she thought a lot about that plastic scorpion thing.
バトラがあの倉庫の中で顔面を砕かれて生贄にされていたんだよ。
Well, that's nice of you to say that, Maria.
幸運だったよ、バトラは。
そうか。あれがなかったら、俺は今頃殺されてたってのか。
なんでバトラはベアトリーチェを信じないの？いるのに。今、そこに、ほら。ね、信じる気になったでしょ？ 信じなよ。マリアにお守りをもらったことを感謝しながら。あれがなければバトラは今頃倉庫の中。
Well, I do hate being in storehouses.
代わりに誰か一人が助かっていたかもしれないね。
Pop? Okay, right then, I burst into laughter. Playing witches had been pretty fun up until a second ago, but unfortunately, that last one seemed to be too much for me to gloss over. Oh good, now we're all cackling evil people.
ってことなら悪いが、全然ダメだ。
When Maria saw me suddenly laughing, she stopped. Even though she didn't understand what I was laughing at, she realized that it wouldn't be pleasant for her.
お前が傷つくだろうと思ったから、俺黙ってたけどよ。お前にもらったお守りを、どっかに落っことしちまったんだぜ。だから俺が今この瞬間に無事なのは、お守りのおかげでもねえし。悪いが、俺は自分の目で見たものしか信じねえ。第6巻？波長？魔法のセンス？悪いが俺はそういう前つばなもんは一切信じねえぜ。クラスの女が霊感がいいの悪いのって言い出すのを聞いてると虫唾が走るのさ。あんたらがいくらじいさまに給料もらってるか知らねえが、そう簡単にはいかねえってことをよく肝に銘じておきやがるってんだ。
バトラ様。
カノン君たちが信じるのは自由だぜ。だが俺が信じるかどうかは常に俺が自分で決める。悪いがこの目で見るまでベアトリーチェなんてうさんくさいものの存在を信じるわけにはいかないぜ。
I spoke forcefully and sharply. When I did, Maria started cackling again.
ならそれでいいんじゃない？いずれお前のような波長が全然合わない人の目にもベアトリーチェは見えるようになる。もうじき蘇るんだよ、ベアトリーチェはね。そうしたら一緒にいっぱいお話をしたり遊んだりしようって。
Wasn't there something in there about when she was revived everyone was gonna be dead? Something like that?
疑う必要も無理に信じる必要も全くない。現れるんだよ、もうじきね。
That was fun, wasn't it? So what are we going to do after that? We're going to probably go back to the parlor and be like, yeah, that bathroom break took a long time. I had to go. Alright, yeah, I'm going to make another video. The only reason I've been doing 2 30-minute ones recently is because I have time. As I get lower on time, it'll probably go back to half an hour. But I feel like if I have time now, I might as well get a bit more of this done. Try to get through the game a bit faster. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll come back for another one soon. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.